Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sharon Whiteman, and I'm very excited and happy to be here each and every week with every single one of you, whether you listen live or later down the track. And I'd like to offer my gratitude to my partners, Diana Hunter and Gary Knapp. We enjoy and benefit from gathering with you and bringing this possibility to Manatech, Australasia, and the globe. Today, I'm really excited. It's been 2 years since we've had Mandakini as our guest speaker. I'll just give you a little refresh on her background, and I know there'll be new people here today because this is perfect introduction. Wellness and nutrition educator and coach with over 30 years of experience in assisting and guiding people from all walks of life in their journey to better health, utilizing food as medicine, real food supplementation, and yoga therapy. In addition to her BSc, she also holds a diploma in Oriental medicine and Japanese yoga. She has taught and lectured in Australia and countries throughout the world, including Israel, New Zealand, Singapore, UK, and the US. In addition to assisting her clients worldwide with the Manatech products, Mandakini runs wellness reset programs and offers regular yoga classes. Mandakini has a passion to educate people about health and wellness, and she loves seeing people's lives transform. Today, you'll love her unique and passionate perspective on keeping our hormone system healthy. Mandakini, thank you so very much for saying yes. I'm very appreciative.
Thanks, Sharon, for this kind introduction. It has been a while, so I am a little bit nervous, but let's just jump straight into it. I see I'm in good company, so let's just jump straight into today's topic. If you guys want to have a pen and paper, there is going to be a lot of information here today, so you may want to jot a few notes, but either way, there's going to be recording after that, so you can review the information again. The reason I'm so passionate about the area of hormones is because hormones govern our lives in a major way. You'll see throughout the talk that areas like mental clarity, energy levels, bone density, whether we put weight on or not, our mental activity, how we age, our hormones, just how emotional we are, how angry we are, our emotional well-being. Our hormones govern so many areas of our life. And my hope for today is that at the end of this talk, you will view the hormonal, you will view it as a system and kind of understand all the areas that it affects. And yet at the same time, understanding that it's a system rather than dealing with each symptom or each area on its own, understanding that we can nourish and deal with the hormonal system. And as a result, it will deal with a lot of other areas. So I'll just share my screen here. So topics for today, topics that we're going to cover today are what are hormones? We're going to talk about what happens as we age. We're going to talk about hormones and weight loss or gain, whichever angle you want to look at it. We're going to talk about brain function, hormones and bone density, endocrine disruptors if we have time. And of course, most importantly, what can we do? What can you do to improve your hormonal health? So first things first, what are hormones? One of the things that still almost frustrate me, because I've been lucky enough now to share the hormone story for over 20 years, and I still meet people that think that hormones just has to do only with women, and that somehow I will hear a lot of women say, oh, I'm past that stage. So they think that hormones don't relate to them just because they've gone through menopause and they're past that stage of the reproductive age. They think that hormones don't relate to them, and it's further from the truth. So first of all, both men and women have hormones. So most of the information that I'll be sharing today is going to be relevant for men and women. However, women are affected by hormones in a bit of a different way and a bit of a more dramatic way than men, especially as we age. So there is going to be focus also on menopause and women. But basically, hormones, hormones are chemical messengers that go around the body and tell the organs what to do. So, for example, for our pancreas to know to excrete insulin so we can digest the sugar that we've just had, that's a hormonal instruction. For our brain to know to go unconscious at night and go to sleep, that's a hormonal function. So basically, we've got these main glands, and those hormones are produced by the glands, and the glands produce the hormones, and the hormones go around and tell the body what to do. Now, I've mentioned already a few functions, but look, these are just some of the functions that the hormonal system is in charge of. The hormonal system is in charge of our sleep. How many people do you know, and maybe yourself, are struggling with either falling asleep, staying asleep, sleeping enough, not sleeping enough, happiness, sex drive, hunger, metabolism rate, how our metabolism works, our mental alertness, our temperature, stress levels, endurance, mood? All of these are just some of the functions that our hormonal system are in charge of. So clearly, just from this one slide, you can see that it's relevant for men and women, and it's relevant for all of our life, not just our reproductive years. So just bear with me while we go through a few technical things here. Just briefly, are going to simplify it, but just for now, our hormonal system is part of a system. It's like a hormonal cascade. And at the top, if you can look at that square that says phytosterols, we have nutrients that come into the system. Then the body is able to make hormones, and then it creates the different functions in the body. So we have about more than 87 major hormones in the body. Only 2 of them differ between men and women. So men have hormones as well, as I've already clearly said. And we make them in our sleep. So it's really important. You can already see that if we don't sleep well, you all would have had the experience that if you don't sleep well, you wake up grumpy the following day, and it's not so easy to navigate the day. That's because we may have possibly not made the hormones that we need for the day. So sleep is really important. Sleep could be one of these almost vicious cycle if they don't happen well. If you don't sleep, you can't make the hormones, then you can't make the hormones that will help you sleep, and it can be a vicious cycle. So getting in top of our sleep is a really, really important step. Now, we have those come from plants. They're called hormone plants, but they're not hormones. They just come from plants. And together with healthy fats, they are the 2 major components, ingredients that nourish our hormonal system. Now, we make what's called pregnenolone, or think of us making like the body making a raw hormone ingredient. And from that, the body is able to make one hormone from another, together with the healthy fats. And then it goes down these 2 pathways. Now, out of these, in this pathway, just on the left-hand side with the DHEA side, which we'll talk a little bit more in a minute, there's more than 50 hormones that get produced. So it's important to understand that the body is able to make one hormone from another. So what does that mean? Now, this is can be a little bit overwhelming, this cascade, because there's all these hormones, and it's easy for our Western thinking to just grab on each hormone. And 20 years ago, before I delved into this topic of hormones, I would just hear these words floating, right? There's estrogen, there's progesterone, there's cortisol. None of them, I knew that they were important. I just didn't know how they all fit together. So if for a moment you can take all of the hormones and for a moment think about them all as one system. Just forget all the different words and just think about them in one system. When we have a system, think about any system, whether it's your body, whether it's whether it's the endocrine system, any system, whether it's a factory, like in the analogy on the screen. So any system you can impact it by three major things. One is how you nourish, or what goes into the system. The second thing is how well it functions. And the third thing is the output of the system. So just take a moment to try and grasp this concept, because if you're going to able to grasp this concept, it will make the understanding of the hormonal system much easier for you. So within a system, if we view the hormonal system as just a system that has an input, a function, and an output, then it makes life easy. If we can figure out what nourishes that system, if we can figure out what makes it work better, and if we can figure out how to control the output, happy days, right? Because now we are in control. We can be in the driver's seat. One of the analogies that helped me understand, and hopefully it can help you understand it, is the budget analogy. If you think of your hormones as, if you could think of your hormones as a budget, remember that cascade that we had, what goes in, then how well it happens, and the output. So if you think of your budget, like your money, how you manage money, right? So if you have the same money coming in all the time, but either you or maybe somebody you know, not you, maybe somebody you know, is not either not managing the money very well. So despite of how much money is coming in, the expenditure is not managed well. So they're not going to be feeling affluent, let's say. There's not going to be enough money to go around. Or if the money doesn't change and the output is too much, say you have a salary every month, you have an income coming in, and you have your expenditure, you're going to spend money on food, on accommodation, on fun, on going to the movies, entertainment. But then suddenly your car breaks down and you have to spend a big, whether the engine or the gearbox or something expensive goes out. Then you have to make compromises, right? There's not enough money to go around for that month. Until there's more money coming in, maybe you don't go to the movies. Maybe you're not going to go to this fancy trip around, around Europe or whatever your thing is, because there's not enough money to go around. Now, with the hormonal system, it's exactly the same. If you go back to thinking about the hormonal system, you think about it as a system. If we don't have enough coming in and too much going out, the body is going to start making compromises. So if we were in the same room, I would ask you to raise your hand if that makes sense to you. So hopefully just nod for yourself if it makes sense, because I cannot see you. So let's just take it in. So I just want to say that the first part of this is not going to sound like good news, but keep encouraged, because the second part of this talk is going to have a lot of good news. The thing is that we need to understand, unless, the whole message of knowledge is power. If we don't understand, we cannot do anything about it. We're at the mercy of our hormones. We're at the mercy of, the forces. But if we understand, now we can navigate it consciously. So let me just take you a step further. When we were looking at the hormonal cascade, remember one of the pathways was that DHEA. DHEA is referred to as the fountain of youth. It peaks in our levels around 28, in our late 20s. Really, that's when people have the most energy, they're most fertile. It's really our peak of our youth, so to speak. And the sad news is that that hormone starts declining as we age. So for women, by the time they're in their 50s, we're about 50% of what we had. Men decline a little bit faster, although men decline different. For men, the decline is more steady because they're not faced with the onslaught of the dramatic drop around menopause, which women are faced with a lot. So men suffer from that decline too, but it is more gradual. There's a lot of areas. The DHEA is like how young we are biologically rather than a chronological age. And one of the areas that is really important is around brain function, which we are going to talk about a little bit more in a moment. But I wanted to share with you this slide about what happened, and apologies to the men. There's going to be a bit of menopause focus here because it's a very important stage in women's life, and whether you've suffered symptoms or you managed to duck the symptom, still the impact is there for women. That's why so much changes for women when we go into when women go into perimenopause, then so much changes when women are in menopause, and then so much change post-menopause. And you can just see the decline of estrogen. Estrogen is one of the hormones that get produced from DHEA. So when DHEA is less, estrogen is less, is vice versa. So what more bad news can I give you, right? So the hormonal system declines, estrogen is going down, our DHEA is going down. But let's look at the things that are responsible for this decline. First of all, there is age. We mentioned age, and menopause is a big deal. So for women going through menopause, it's a big drastic drop in our hormones, especially estrogen. And when there's a decline in that, there's a decline in a lot of other hormones. But there's other areas that are responsible for depleting our hormones. And these are areas that are more in our control. Things like having high glycemic foods or sugar or refined sugar, things like alcohol consumption, things like coffee and caffeine, things like stress, even good stress, good or bad, over exercising, but it's just a little bit, because I haven't come across that many people that over exercise and deplete the hormonal system, although it's there. So please don't use it as an excuse not to exercise, because exercise is important. Just don't overdo it, right? And a final topic, which is the endocrine disruptors. It's a little bit different. It doesn't deplete the hormonal system as such, but it impacts on its function. And if we have enough time, we're going to cover that as well today. So hopefully you got a little bit, we've covered so far what are hormones and what depletes them. Now, I work with women a lot, and I work with women in the last, women with weight issues, women with menopause issues. And one of the big complaints that women have, and if we were in the room, I would ask you to raise your hands, is about the whole issue of hormones and weight gain or loss. But it's really, the weight loss is what most women want to achieve, but the weight gain is the issue. So from 40 onwards, but particularly through menopause and post-menopause, women experience this weight gain. And even women that never had issues with weight, before menopause, they could do the calories in, calories out, monitor their food intake, do a little bit of exercise, and have their weight under control. But then they start going through menopause and post, and then they just go, Mandakini, how on earth do I shift it? I do all the diet, I exercise, I do it all, and the weight is not budging. It gets very frustrating. Most of it, for a lot of women, and not only that it comes on, but where it gets stuck is different to where it was before. For a lot of women, it's weight around the belly area, in particular. And it's a big issue. It's a big issue because the size of our waistline has a massive indication of how exposed or how much at risk we are with things like diabetes, things with cancers even. If you ask any of the authorities, whether it's your council, or whether it's the Heart Foundation, or whether it's Australia Welfare, and so whoever you ask will tell you the waistline has a big impact, a lot of indication of how well we're going to be and how exposed we are to a lot of health conditions. So the plot thickens, guys, a little bit more, because you're going to say, hey, Mandakini, come on. We talked about hormones. What do hormones have to do with weight? Well, in fact, a lot, a lot. So this is just a snapshot of some of the hormones that have to do with our digestive and how much weight we're going to put on. So we have the thyroid with thyroxine that is in charge of our metabolism. We have insulin that we produce in our pancreas to help break down sugars. It's also in charge of the distribution of fat and the levels of fat. We have ghrelin, which is a hormone that tells us whether we're satiated or not. So that whole feeling of I've had enough, or do I need to eat more? We have estrogen, we've got progesterone, we have other hormones that are in charge of the fat distribution. So if you can come back with me just for one moment to that original slide where I suggested that look at the hormonal system as a system. So now, if that system, we just saw that the hormonal levels decline, so that means that all of these hormones are suffering. If we have less of those hormones, we cannot perform, the body cannot perform these actions to the best of its ability because it's making the compromises. The body is more interested in keeping you alive than worrying about how much fat you're putting on, right? It's a little bit lower in the priority. More important for you to be alive than to have that excess weight. So that's one of the reasons. So if women don't change, and men around middle age start putting a lot of weight also around their waistline. So this is a time that if we don't change what we were doing from before and we don't understand the hormonal impact, it's very hard to create the change. Women and men have to literally do things differently at this stage. Let me take you one more step into the thickening plot. Other thing that happens as we age is not only the hormonal decline. The other thing that happens as we age is the decline of our digestive power. Our digestion, again, peaks around our late 20s, 28. And then as we age, we're not able to absorb that well. Our gut function is not as good. So what that means is, just to step back, gut function is important, in charge of a lot of things. We have the good bacteria, we have the bad bacteria. They impact on many areas, but they impact also on weight gain, because if you have a lot of the bad bacteria, you're going to be craving foods that are not conducive to your health. You know, if you have that gut bacteria that are asking for sugar and bread or anything that is not good for you. So with our gut function, we have the whole absorption, we have the whole mental impact of the gut. Mental clarity is a part of the gut function, emotional well-being, immune system, cravings, and maybe something, because we're still on the topic of how hormones relate to weight gain. So turns out that the gut is also responsible of making a bunch of hormones. And surprise, surprise, a bunch of these hormones have to do with our digestion, how we're sensitive to insulin, our glucose tolerance, our fat storage, our appetite, and so on and so forth. So what that means is that another angle for us to impact the hormonal system is improve our gut function. Because if we can improve our gut function, then it will help to make the hormones that are important for our digestion and our weight management then we have more hormones, then we're in a better situation, right? So the whole goal, so to speak, there's not a lot we can do about the fact that we're aging. We just are. There's areas that there's not a lot we can do about, but there's areas that we have a lot to do. And I call it hacking the hormonal system, hacking our hormonal system, hacking your hormonal system. So in a moment, we're going to talk about what steps we can take, but you can already have a clue here. If our gut is responsible for making hormones that are important for our health and our digestion and our weight, then we can improve our gut function. That is in our hands, right? Another issue, just one more step about that weight, and especially post-menopause, during and post, that becomes a big deal. Men also have visceral fat, and this is unfortunately the fat that is more dangerous to us than, let's say, the cosmetic fat. So even for women that may remain skinny, don't have the external fat, they can develop the internal fat, what's called visceral fat. That's a dangerous fat that actually coats our internal organs. That has to do a lot with our diet. That has to do a lot with our toxicity, acidity, and when it goes on longer and it's there for a long period of time, then it becomes like a unit on its own. It hardens and it impacts on the functions of our organs, like our heart, our vital organs, because it's really there. The body puts it there to protect our vital organs. So that's something, again, if we can, that's something that we can actually do both with our nutrition and our diet habits. There's definitely stuff we can do around that. So hopefully with the bad news come the good news, because the whole idea is to empower you, not to just think that, hey, we're aging and there's nothing we can do. There is a lot we can do. Okay, so we've covered the topic of hormones and weight loss, weight gain. So let's just talk about the issue of hormone and brain function. Now, again, I'm focusing on women because women get the short side of the stick when it comes to our hormone health. It is just the way it is. It turns out that if you look at statistics, women are more likely to be diagnosed with anxiety, depression, headache, migraines, and Alzheimer's. 2/3 of Alzheimer's sufferers are women. And the thing is, estrogen, and the estrogen plays a massive part in our energy production in the brain. So you may hear women that either go through menopause or after menopause, they start complaining about whether it's forgetfulness or just dullness or foggy brain or all of those things. And that has to do a lot with those declining hormones, because if the estrogen is down, it doesn't have that energy to push up and help those neurons fire. They're not firing to their best. Now, there is a term, and I recommend, if this area is important to you, there's this lovely Dr. Lisa Mosconi. She's a neuroscientist, and she has a lot to say on this topic. I think you'll find it very interesting. So if you want to jot her name and look her up, she's got a book, she's got podcasts, she's got a lot to listen to. So she talks a lot about that connection between what happens in our mid-age, when our hormones decline around menopause, and what happens in a later stage of our life around dementia and menopause, dementia and Alzheimer, and as we age. So she talks about that connection between our neurons, our brain, and our hormones. She refers to it as the neuroendocrine system. So when menopause symptoms start, they really, all of those functions, all of those symptoms that women experience have a lot to do with, again, with that declining hormones. So the brain foggy, the estrogen decline. The thing is that when it declines over time, it can lead to what's called amyloid plaque, which is responsible to the whole Alzheimer thing. How important is it? Guys, we hear a lot about breast cancer as so important, but in Australia, dementia is the #1 killer of women in Australia. So doing something in that area, in the areas that are in our hands, is a really important thing, because we need to understand the connection of what happens midlife. And it is because the thing is with all the degenerative conditions, they don't spring overnight. It's not an overnight thing. They got built in the body over time. Then you start feeling the symptoms, then they're really bad. Now, just for fun, well, let's wait with the fun. Yeah, let's just, okay, hold that thought. We're going to have some fun, hopefully, because we have a lot of information here. So these are just some of the ideas of which glands and how our neurons are related to our endocrine hot flushes, with changes in sleep, with the amygdala that is responsible for mood swings and forgetfulness, the drop in energy. And now, there's a very sensitive topic of HRT, hormonal replacement therapy. It has been debated now. You can, at the same breath, hear so many aspects of hormonal replacement therapy. First, it was the first thing since sliced bread to help women deal with menopause issues. Then there was a big study that says, no, the cases of heart conditions, heart attacks, and cancer have increased so much. No, it's not a good thing. So then there was a comeback and say, oh, no, that study was not that accurate. So there were mistakes in that study. So really, HRT is actually great. Go on to it. Oprah got behind it, which is great because she started talking about menopause issues, but you have to do your own research, guys, because I'm not going to tell you good or bad, because if you are considering HRT, you should do your research. But if you went to a gynecologist before they prescribe, they will give you a little ticket with the risks, with the list of risks. Recently, there was a study done in a big Danish study that alluded to the fact that women that were on HRT were more prone to dementia. And then other studies came, oh, no, that's not accurate. There was, there's still a lot of benefits. Then there was another study that said, oh, if you take it during 50, it doesn't impact dementia so much. But if women are given during 60, then there is a lot of issues. And then it could, oh, well, maybe. Then there was another study, if you give it orally, it's more prone, but if you give it in patch, it's not so bad. So as you can see, there is a lot of studies out there, a lot of variations of whether hormonal therapy is good or bad. So what if we can impact our hormonal system in more natural ways, right? That will be the best case scenario. But just before we get there, let me just talk to you about hormones and bone density. So just thumbs up. I can't see you, but let me feel the love that you're still there and you're learning stuff, hopefully. So hormone and bone density. Who has heard about how important calcium is for bone density? And it's inevitable. As you age, you should just accept the fact that the big O, now you have, they're promoting it as the big O. And so the story is, let's just connect it back to menopause. And again, whether you suffered from the symptoms or it just went by, that doesn't mean that decline in hormones have not impacted you, right? So the thing is that we have the whole cascade that we alluded from before. And if you can just watch this little line that goes from pregnenolone to progesterone, just to shorten the story, estrogen and progesterone have a lot to do with how we make our hormones. When women go into menopause and they run out of eggs, they are dependent on a backup system to make progesterone. And already we had, if you remember the first slide of DHEA, we already had issues with DHEA before menopause hit. We had the declining levels, and then menopause hit. And if you just can think of an admin person sitting in office, really struggling with their job. Right? They have all these files they have to deal with. And here comes menopause, and here comes their boss and say, you know, I don't care how much you've been struggling with your job, but here are another 20 files that you're just going to have to deal with. And that's what happens to our body. That's what happened to our hormonal system, because DHEA was barely struggling with their job. There are 50 hormones that we're supposed to produce and manufacture and keep in balance. And menopause comes and hey, you know, here's another 20. Sorry, but we can't produce progesterone in our ovaries anymore. So sorry, you're going to have to deal with it. Let's make it out of DHEA, which is cool if we had the good reserves, but we were struggling before. So again, these are aspects. So getting our hormonal system, accessing, understanding how important our hormonal system is in bone health is really important. Okay, I'm just going to go very briefly through this. I'm not going to even go deeply into the hormonal endocrine disruptors because we're going to run out of time. But I'll just say you need to research it. And I may actually, I was thinking if we run out of time, I'll just upload a talk that I did on hormonal disruptors, and I'll upload it to my YouTube channel so you can listen to it separately. But endocrine disruptors are basically a bunch of chemicals. They are known to everybody. They're known to the World Health Organization. They are everywhere around us, in the water we drink, they're in the air we breathe, they're in the utensils that we use, they are in household detergent, they are in our frying pans, they are in paint, they're in household items, they are in our perfume, in our skincare, not our skincare, not magnetic skincare, no skincare out there. They're in fabric softeners, they're in the wheel of your car, they are in kids' toys, they are. The bottom line is that they impact, and everybody knows this is not news. This is not news. There's over 800 of those substances that are known to be disruptors and cause a lot of issues, from cancer, for reproductive organs. The list goes on and on and on. These are 800 that are known and are officially reported. There's another 435 supposedly potential disruptors. And keep in mind that none of them have been tested in combination. I will just throw a little tip here. If you're interested in this area of hormonal disruptors and in those toxicity, there's a really good documentary at the moment on Stan, How to Poison a Planet. It goes very, very deeply into a group of them and how toxic they were and how industry kept selling it despite knowing the impact that it was having on people's health. And on that topic, there was also a feature movie made on that topic, Dark Waters. So if you're interested in that area, you may want to jot those names. And if you don't have Stan, just go to a friend that has Stan. Say, hey, we've got this great documentary to watch together. Okay, guys. So we've covered how hormones work, what they are, how they work, how they decline as we age. We also covered the fact that there's other things that deplete our hormonal system. There's foods, there's drinks, and there's toxins that impact our hormonal system. We also talked about the connection between our hormonal system and weight gain, our hormonal system and brain function, our hormonal system and bone density. So you kind of sit, oh my God, gee, do we have, is there good news? Are you going to get to the good news? Yes, this is the part of the good news. So I did promise you a little bit of, who's watched the book club. The book club. Recently, I watched a book club, but the second one when they go to Venice. And if you watch that movie, there is a scene where one of our actresses, the main actresses, her husband just had a heart attack, and after he had a heart attack, he was put on a diet of he wasn't allowed to have meat, bacon. He was put on this strict diet, and I always just, given I think about health pretty much every waking moment of my life, I was just thinking, if they knew already that the bacon and thing is not good for his health, why wait till he had the heart attack to put him on this diet? So often, but I suppose it's human nature. We don't, it won't happen to us, and we don't want to take the actions before we're in trouble. But really, our message here is take control, understand the information, and take control, because whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 50s, it's never too late to improve our health. We can always improve our health. So given we've figured out there's a bunch of foods and drinks that can deplete our hormonal system, remember, just go back with me to that whole thing of thinking of the hormonal system as a system. So if there's things that deplete, and we don't have a lot of it, right? Or aging, we have less. So if we're having other things that are making it even less, why not have less of them? If you remove those things that deplete it even further, you're going to end up with more. It's a little bit like if you go and spend your money willy-nilly, you're going to have less money. Okay, let's spend a little bit more. Let's spend our money with awareness, consciously, so we can have more. Because if you spend more, it feels like you have more, right? So that is one way of hacking our hormonal system. Just reduce the things that are, and you're going to say, oh, Mandakini, I can't live without my coffee, or I can't live without my double macchiato, whatever. But you can, maybe some help is needed, but you can. Definitely at least reduce. If you cannot eliminate, start thinking of reducing. And, guys, it's always the one that is the hardest that you'll give you the biggest bang for your buck. Talk to people, I'll say, oh, you may want to reduce sugar. I said, oh, no, I don't put sugar in my coffee. Yeah, what's that cheesecake next to you? Or so there's ways that we can reduce the things that deplete the hormonal system. The other side, remember, in our system, there's what nourishes the hormonal system. So we can nourish our body, we can nourish our hormonal system with good phytosterols. Remember those group of nutrients that are sitting at the top of the cascade, and in the system we had that little factory, what goes in and what goes out. If we eliminate some of the ones that deplete the system, and then we increase the ones that nourish the hormonal system, that's like getting more money into your budget, right? So if you got more money and you spend less, you will feel richer. Your health wellness, your financial wellness will improve. Same thing with the endocrine wellness, your hormonal wellness. So we can get those phytosterols from whole foods, we can get them from whole grains, from legumes, we can get them from lentils, we can get them from seeds, from nuts, from a lot of areas. And of course, we can get them, not of course, because that's what's really special. If you're new to Manatech, this is one of the things that really set Manatech supplements apart, is that we're able to supplement it with a hormonal nourishing products, primarily the Plus product. So the Plus product contains those phytosterols that maybe it's a bit harder to improve your health when more grains and so on. And it's not either or. It's not either or. They work hand in hand beautifully, beautifully. If you think of your financial health, do you have problem with getting more money? Do people have issue with having too much money? So you get the money from here and you get the money from here, and happy days. So with Plus actually has those phytosterols to nourish the hormonal system. Again, if you think about it as a system, so you'll see that the claims, part of the claims on the plus will be that it supports optimal endocrine health. It supports bone health, prostate health, colon health, breast health, immune system, all of that. But if you go back, it's not a but. Go back, because I encourage you to think about the hormonal system as a system. So of course, if you're able to nourish the system, you are now supporting all the functions that are related to that system. I hope that that makes sense. If you can take anything out of this talk, I hope that that's what you think. Think about it as a system. And then when you're able to impact that system, you're able to impact all the functions. So you don't just deal with your sleep. You don't just deal with your energy levels. You don't just deal with your emotion. You don't just deal with menopause symptoms. You don't just deal with bone density. Nourish the whole thing. And that's what's beautiful, because when people start taking pluses, so everybody gets a different kind of, oh, I've got more energy. I'm feeling happier. I'm feeling, so all these things. So one of the biggest concerns for people, especially women in certain conditions, is that plus is a hormone. Plus is not a hormone. And sometimes we can say it until we're blue in the face. But plus is not a hormone. Plus is a nutrient that nourishes the hormonal system. And when the hormonal system, it's the factory, right? The plus is the raw ingredients to the hormonal factory. And then the hormonal factory produces the hormones. We're not giving the body hormones, because I know there's a lot of conditions, certain conditions, and believe me, I have a lot of those clients myself that would refuse to take plus because of their special situations. And the point is to educate them and explain that it's not a hormone. It is the food of the hormone, and then the body can make the hormones. It can top it to the level, give it good levels of phytosterols, 50, 80 milligrams or more. And yeah, so those hormones. And we know that in societies, in cultures that have high levels of vitality and longevity, the input of phytosterols is very, very high. Other benefits that people report are reduction in stress, sleep better, metabolism improves, energy better, thyroid improves, more sex drive, having that libido back, hunger, less hungry, and all these areas are benefits that people report when they start on the plus. Now, the plus is taken very, very, gonna go back to this slide here. It's good to always take the plus with the omega-3, with the vitamin 3, because they work hand in hand to help the body make its own hormones. While we're on the topic of phytosterols, I did want to mention that there's 2 other products in our range that have contained phytosterols in it, and it's the Bounce Back and the Sport. Having said that, even though they contain phytosterols in good amounts, may I add, they have a different formula. So the plus formula is the formula that is designed to help the body make hormones. The Bounce Back is the formula that helps us deal with inflammation, helps the body deal with inflammation in joints. And the Sport is the one that helps with stamina, helps with joints, helps with musculoskeletal, helps with pain, helps with, mobility, and all of those kind of things. So it's not that not to take them. Definitely, personally, I take them all. So I love the Sport, I love the Bounce Back. I just wanted to put it in context for you, because even though the 3 of them utilize phytosterols, each one of them is designed for a different thing, a different function in the body. Who remembers the slide? Who remembers the slide where our gut function is also in charge of making hormones? Well, if our gut is in charge of making hormones, it stands to reason that if we will improve the gut function, we will improve our hormone health. So we can do it again with good foods. There's a lot of foods that will nourish your gut. You have good miso, you have sauerkraut, you have fermented food, vegetables, whole grains, the list goes on and on and on of foods that will nourish your gut function. And again, there's lots of documentaries that you can watch about how important gut function is. So yeah, just delve into it. So you can do it with food, and remember, none of it is either or. None of it is either or. And of course, the easiest way to impact your gut function is to take a good probiotic, a good probiotic. So of course, Manatic has a fantastic probiotic, GI Pro Balance. It has 8 strains of bacteria. One of the things that are really important is that we have different strains. They have lots of active bacteria. We have prebiotic, probiotic. I will refer you, because we're focusing on the hormonal system today, we don't have time to delve into every product. We do have, if you go to Sharon's website, to her YouTube channel, you will find educational sessions about each one of these products. I just want to mention those products in the context of our topic today, which is our hormonal system and all the functions of the hormonal system. So, a good probiotic, of course, will improve the gut function. And when the gut function, remember all the hormones that get produced in the mucosal lining of the gut. Remember the issue of the connection between brain function and our endocrine system. And as we age, we have more and more compromised cognitive function. We have a product, Manatic has a product, Ambritose, has more than 7 studies, double placebo studies, that talk about the connection between taking Ambritose and cognitive function, even in young people, even in students at the university, that their cognitive function and their ability to study improved while taking Ambritose. Literally Ambritose, not another Me Too product that has glycans, this actual product. So if we thinking about it as the projection of our health, our brain health, what is expected as we age, stand to reason if there is a product that we know that can help with our brain function, that can help with our cognitive function, that can help with even mood, that can help with concentration, that can help with attentiveness, that's been shown to help with memory, why not take it? It's like, why wait to get sick before you take action? Because we've seen the statistics, right? We don't want to be a statistic. So it's never too early. It's never too early to start stacking the deck of in our favor. And, when we're taking the products, is not just one, just do everything, guys. Take the products, impact on your, do something with your diet, do the exercise, do cross puzzles, do whatever. Our health is so important that if there's something we can do to improve it, why not? Another big part of our endocrine system is clearly stress. Stress depletes our hormonal system in such a massive way. It's responsible for creating oxidative stress. It's responsible for so many disease conditions. Stress is one of those that just can single-handedly deplete the hormonal system. You can just think of a stressful time in your life. I see a lot of women, they go through a stressful time, suddenly their hair starts falling, they even get little patches. So reducing stress in whatever capacity you can will be very helpful. And going back to the plus is shown. A lot of people that start taking the plus report that they're feeling more with that joy, they feel more relaxed, they feel more calm, they feel more in touch with their, their emotional well-being. But you can do a lot of other things. You can add, not but, and. Remember, it's all an and story. It's not a but. You can add breathing, you can add yoga, exercise, mindfulness. You can allow more time for sleep. You can, if you're sleeping well and you've been taking class, you can reduce overcommitments. Today, it's become a disease that, you know, if you're not stressed and you're not juggling 100 things at the same time, you're not valid, right? I see it especially in women. Women's like the modern women's disease. If they're not busy, something is wrong with them, which is not my perspective, right? So things like, you know, finding time in your, making time to spend with friends, with loved ones, playing with pets, go for a walk in nature, go to church, pray, whatever is going to help replenish those and replenish your reserves and reduce stress. I do want to mention a couple more products in the context of it. Remember, we talked a bit about the endocrine disruptors, which we didn't go a lot into details, but just to give you, we covered enough to know that there's a big level of toxicity around us. And a lot of this toxicity we don't have control over. But what we do have control is how our body can manage that toxicity and how it can protect itself with from the toxicity. And that is where these products like our AO as a phenomenal antioxidant that actually helps reverse that oxidative stress. We have another product in this range is Superfood, red and green, also helps with oxidative stress and helps us top up. Remember the fruit and vegetables, remember getting it from seeds, all the nutrients that we can increase the function of our hormonal system. These products will help with that and will help also with reducing that toxicity. A fantastic product to help with the hormonal system as well, and a nourishing one, is the Catalyst. Catalyst has a lot, if you just see in the list of the benefits, help with, remember that people with hormonal issues have hair issues. Catalyst helps with health issue with hair. It helps with tissues. It helps with bones. So that on one hand, with the plus and with the endocrine system, you're helping the bones, and the Catalyst will give you the actual nutrients in the cells. Even another ingredient there is ashwagandha, which is known from Ayurveda to help with reducing so the Catalyst will be a fantastic product to add to your whole hormonal health kind of approach. Just briefly, I'll leave you with, we talked a lot about the hormonal, our bone density health. There was a doctor by the name of Dr. Gil Cates that he's still around, and all he does is study different supplements and how they impact on health. He did a big study. He worked a lot with Manatech associates, people that take Manatech customers that use it over years, year in, year out, every single day. And he actually published a book, and it was a longevity study where he looked at all people that was using the Manatech products, the Plus, the Ambritos, all of them in its entirety, the whole system. And he found that as far as bone density goes, this is the group that took the Manatech group, there were 3.5 times higher than people that did resistance exercise, which is like the gold star for bone density. You know me, it's and take the products and do the resistance exercise. It's not an either or. Okay, guys, well, I hope that you got a lot out of today. I just want to mention a few more resources that you may benefit. I've mentioned Richer Lives, which is Sharon's YouTube channel, where the recording of this talk, as well as recordings of all the educational talks, are there. So if you go there, if you just visit her YouTube channel, you'll be able to watch the videos and get more education. Whether you were interested in some of the specific products that I just jumped quickly over, and you will get a training or education specific about this product, or on any other topic, the health, immune health, and so on. You're also welcome to visit my YouTube channel, Dynamic Wellness with Mandakini. I talk a lot about hormones. I talk a lot about menopause. I talk a lot about nutrition. I talk a lot about weight loss and healthy weight loss. So you're welcome to reach out if you want to know more about that. I give free talks about it as well via Zoom. So I'd love to leave you with one thing, guys.
Mandakini, can I
Yes,
jump in? And there's just a couple questions, and then then you can
sure.
leave them with one thought. Um,
Sure.
so Gloria, I mean, there's so much gratitude and excitement in the chat. So thank you very much. The acknowledgement of your skills and your educational ability. So Gloria made a comment that with the HRT, that coming off it, if that's your choice, should do so gradually, that it's synthetic and toxic and stays in the system for a long time. And she's backing up some of your education. So she was really strongly saying, I keep all through the whole thing. I agree, Mandakini, that's perfect. And then, but a question she had, if you had any professional thoughts on the blood type diet.
I don't particularly follow it. I don't subscribe to it. And yeah, that's not my system that I follow.
Okay, no worries. So I think that's everything, and I'll leave you to leave us with your final thoughts.
Yeah,
And
just with the topic of HRT, as I said, there is so much controversy out there. There is just literally so much controversy out there that look, my choice clearly was not to go HRT. 11 years ago, when I turned 50, my menopause hit, and it was my goal to figure it out with our supplements and with nutrition and exercise. So the three angle approach. There's specific exercises that we can do. There's specific foods that we can do. And of course, there's the Manotic supplements, which are so the plus and all the set. So that was my choice. But I know that there's women. I just was one of a woman that approached me the other day. She says, I could not stand. She got onto HRT before she met me. So, I just encourage women to do their research. And if you really don't want to go on it, try the things that we've mentioned. There's a lot in this program, in this talk that we've covered to start implementing before maybe reaching HRT, because there is clearly, if there is so much controversy, there's clearly some level of risk there, right? So yeah. So guys, my message to you is that your health is the most important. Like, without your health, what have you got? If your health is better, you're going to be a better parent. You're going to be a better grandparent. You're going to be a better partner. You're going to perform better at your work. You're going to have more fun. It's like that whole saying, if we don't invest in our health now, we're going to have to pay the consequences of our illness later. So do everything you can. I truly believe, when people were interviewed at the end of their lives, they don't regret not spending enough more time in the office. That's not what people regret. The people regret that not spending more time with their loved ones, not taking more risks, and not looking better after their health. All the money in the world, when people are on their deathbed, or when they don't even have to be on their deathbed, just sick, what they pray for is more health, not more money. So I hope you got enough to encourage you to put the fire in your belly, to start implementing those things, get on these products. They are amazing. Make a few changes to your diet. And if you want to reach out to hear more what I have to offer, you're more than welcome. But thank you for this opportunity to share a thought. I'm very, very excited and honored to share with you, because it's a topic I'm very passionate about. Thank you.
You've been very generous, Mandakini. Thank you so very much. And in regards to the Richer Lives YouTube channel, the links to specific years of archived trainings are in the bottom of the footer of my weekly email. So you can go directly to whichever year it is in there. It just gives you a list of the recordings. Mandakini, and thank you for being generous and offering your trainings. And if you're new to this information, please get back to the people who invited you today and really seriously consider giving it a good, strong go. I know I'm 67 now, and in retrospect, I flew through menopause using Plus. It was just, I did take quite a bit for a while, but and now I take more than average because I've been stressed going on, but I play around with it, and it's just a partnership in well-being. So ladies and gentlemen, thanks for being here, and we'll see you next Saturday. Thanks, Mandakini.